For those of you who aren't aware, Howard Philip Lovecraft, or H.P. Lovecraft, is the master of horror and weird fiction. He is so ingrained in our popular culture that we all have been exposed to his stories, even if we aren't aware of it. Over the years, there are those who pay tribute to him by keeping his stories and mythos alive, and those who take inspiration from his tales. So, think you know nothing of Lovecraft or Lovecraftian lore? South Park, Eric Cartman riding Cthulhu. Yeah, that's the giant monster that looks like a cross between a dragon and a giant squid. One of Lovecraft's most infamous creatures. How about books? Maybe comic books? DC's Batman housing his villains in Arkham Asylum. Arkham, as in Arkham, Massachusetts, one of the fictional cities in Lovecraftian lore that's famous for its asylum. Well, what I'm saying is, if you like creepy, weird sci-fi horror, it doesn't get any better than Lovecraft. I am proud to stand with my hand on my heart and say I am a horror fan. As a horror fan, I would like to pay tribute to H.P. Lovecraft by telling you my favorite stories written by this awesome man. Now, this is not a complete list. Lovecraft has a lot of stories, but these are the ones I hold dear to my heart. Let's begin. The Thing on the Doorstep. There are some stories that are just made to be ghost stories. They are meant to make your hair stand on end. From Click Click Drag to the more recent Who Watches the Watcher, these stories have a fantastic setup and a bone-chillingly scary payoff. And so does The Thing on the Doorstep. The story is told by Daniel Upton as he witnesses his best friend, Edward Darby, descend into madness. After Edward falls in love with and marries Asimov Waite, a bizarre former resident of that accursed isolated town, Innsmouth, his madness begins. Not wanting to give anything away, The Thing on the Doorstep will make you think twice about two things. Marrying that weird girl that you saw across the street because you thought she was cute, and answering your phone at 3 o'clock in the morning. The Terrible Old Man. I have this irrational fear of old men. Okay, not all old men. Just the ones that stalk you and wear red suits and visit you in the dead of night and breaks into your house and steals your stuff, such as your sleep and your presents. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of Santa Claus at all. He's really creepy. And for this reason, the terrible old man creeps me the hell out. The story revolves around 3 thieves who come to a little town in New England called Innsmouth. They overhear about an old man who lives in a house by himself. The locals don't know much about him, and they do their best to stay the hell away from him, claiming that he's odd. He's always standing in his window and talking to these bottles on his table, and what's weird is they vibrate, as if they are replying. So, these 3 thieves decide to go and rob the old man. And let's just say that that was a very bad idea. Herbert West, Reanimator. I'm sure everyone has heard or at least seen the movie. It's one of the goriest films of all time, and I bet you never knew it was a Lovecraft story. Herbert West is a student at the Miskatonic University, and he is obsessed with proving that there is no such thing as a soul. He wants to prove that the body is merely a machine, that can be stopped and started again. But something tells me that maybe it's best if the dead stay dead. The Shadow over Innsmouth. Remember that town called Innsmouth from the thing on the doorstep? Well, this is it. It follows an unnamed narrator as he visits Innsmouth on his travels. The residents of Innsmouth aren't the most welcoming of people to those who they deem as outsiders, and soon the narrator finds himself really interested in finding out the background of this place. He begins to investigate it, and what he finds is truly horrifying. So horrifying that he finds himself sitting in front of a mirror, staring at himself. It's unfortunate that Lovecraft never got the love that he deserved, but he has now, and his legacy lives on within his readers. I know that Lovecraft was not the most savory of characters, and it really does show within his books. But also within those pages, he opened the gate to the unimaginable, and no man dare walk through them. As a fan of horror, I can appreciate that. To me, these stories are timeless, and so is the man.